I guess I'll just give you a brief rundown of what I've been up to so far this legislative session, which just finished at the end of June. As I said at the beginning of the year, ¿Está bien si hablo en inglés? Sí. Okay. As I said at the beginning of the year, when I was knocking on people's doors during the campaign, I'd always get the question, how are you going to get things done? And I said the most important thing is that we fight against the power of the political machine here in this state, because right now it's really hard to get the kind of things that are really important for us to get done. It's time that we stand up to the powerful system inside the Statehouse. So that's what I've tried to do. That's been the most important focus. As I said, I was one of 2 senators to vote against the Senate president because I had strong concerns about his record of personal misconduct and his very right-wing policy views. And I thought I was going to be alone, but I was the only one in the caucus. But veteran Senator Donna Nesselbush from Pawtucket decided to join me on the floor, which was really great. And so, throughout most of the session, I've been working hard to try and make sure that we fight for the values that we hold so dear here. So I was the only senator to vote against the bill to exempt Providence Country Day School, which is a wealthy private school in East Providence, owns a lot of woods behind it, from taxation. I think it's important that these really wealthy nonprofits not get tax exemptions on all of their non-mission essential property, because that revenue is really important. I was also the only one to vote against a bill that gave $42 million to insurance companies who would get to make an investment, and then they get more than 60% of the value of that investment back in tax credits from the state. It got into the budget, although I was the only one to vote against it in the Senate. The governor implements the program, and she said that she was so concerned that this was, even for Rhode Island, really abusive, that she might not actually implement it, which could be good. In Maine, there was a scandal where this program led to some investors stealing $8 million from the state. We also had a couple of successes. I was really happy that this year we were able to make sure that we blocked all the really terrible legislation. And there was a bill for the Trump tax cuts for the rich that would implement a version of the Trump tax cuts for the rich in Rhode Island and take the tax exemption zones from the Trump tax cuts for the rich and give 20% of the value of any large investment, including all of downtown Providence and the CVS headquarters. It would have cost the state billions, but got it pulled off the floor, even though it passed the Senate Finance Committee. I was really happy about that. So really my goal this session has been damage mitigation. I think we've done a really good job of that. Some bad things have gotten through, but the scariest stuff that's happened in previous years, we're able to slow down. And I was really, really happy with that. Another thing I got done, I was really concerned, as you all know, with the tax cuts for the rich that we've had in this state. And one of the worst parts of it is we have a lot of white-collar criminals who are very well off who just don't pay their taxes. A lot of times these are businesses that just pay cash under the table or things like that. But there's a long list. The top of the list are the parents of a former Republican lawmaker, and then the second one is a former Republican candidate for governor. But there's a big list of people who owe the state millions of dollars. And so there was a bill that's been pushed for years that finally moved this year that put a 10-year limit on collecting taxes. And I was able to get the bill amended. This is probably my most substantive policy win. I was able to get it amended to say that you can't run out the clock. You can't just say, okay, not paying taxes, then 10 years later you're done. And the state, as long as you start collecting within 10 years, you can keep collecting after that. And it's important that we not let these criminals who refuse to pay their taxes bilk the state for hundreds of millions of dollars. So those have been some of the things I've been working on. I'm happy to talk for longer, but I'd rather just take questions.